A mystery thriller from Saban Films. Man, Saban's been killing it lately. They've come a long way since Power Rangers. The Night Clerk follows Tye Sheridan, John Leguizamo, and Helen Hunt. We follow Sheridan's Bart as a young man who lives with, as he puts it, functioning Asperger's. He works overnight at a hotel as the night auditor. See how I just flexed my hotel work history knowledge there? This job is perfect for Bart because due to his condition, he has a really hard time with social interaction. He doesn't really know how to hold a conversation with people and typically is pretty off-putting to most people he interacts with. Now, the primary way that he combats this challenge in his life is that he observes people. He watches them and he studies their mannerisms and the way that they converse with other people out in the world. And he tries to replicate this when he speaks to people out in the world to varying degrees of success. Now, this all sounds well and good. He sees that he has a challenge and he tries to overcome said challenge. Watching other people and trying to mimic what they do to be more socially acceptable to make life a little easier for you doesn't really sound like it's all that bad. However, Bart's way of watching people is a little bit different. You see, he doesn't just watch people in the traditional sense. They're all alone. Now, Bart's not watching these people in like a pervy type of way, or at least the movie never portrays it that way. No, he does this so that he can see people and get an inside track on how they act in day-to-day actions. And while it shows that he does understand that this is socially unacceptable, I don't think his character thinks that there's anything wrong with him doing this. Probably because he knows that he's not doing it for nefarious reasons. He's doing it more as research. Still though, you know, that's illegal as shit. One night, while manning the desk at a hotel, a woman comes in and checks in. She goes to her room and he watches her for a while until she receives a visitor. Things start to go south and Bart sees the situation getting violent. So he rushes to the room to intervene. Next thing we know, Bart's in the room, the woman's dead, a gun's on the floor, and the mysterious visitor is nowhere to be. During the whole entire event, he obviously can't turn this stuff in to the police because, you know, it's illegal and all. That, and we, the viewer, don't really know what happened in the room. And this is where the movie gets really interesting. The fact that all we know is what happened up to the point that he arrives at the room, but we don't know what actually transpired within the room is what makes things very interesting and will keep you engaged till the end of the movie. And while you do really like the character of Bart, you don't ever fully know what happened in that room until the end of the movie. And the big question is when you do find out what transpired in that room, is your opinion of this character going to change or not? You'll just have to watch and see. This is a really intriguing movie that, like any great mystery, kept you guessing until the end. The story's very tight and focused. This isn't a very long movie. It's only about an hour and a half, but it uses that time to its fullest. There's never really any dull moments. Everything that's happening on screen in some way, shape, form, or fashion contributes to the story. You might not know how it's contributing to the story while it's happening, but a lot of it comes back there at the end and you start to realize why things were happening earlier in the movie. There's a lot of those moments throughout this movie, especially near the end. But the story and execution is only half the equation here. The performances overall in this movie are really good. Most notably Tye Sheridan as Bart. Now, when an actor takes on a role of a character with a mental disability, they run the risk of taking it too far. I think Robert Downey Jr. said it best in Tropic Thunder. So does Sheridan do that here? Does he do what Robert Downey Jr. referenced in Tropic Thunder? No, he never takes it too far. There are tons of little subtle nuances he displays throughout this movie that really shows his dramatic range as an actor. Because let's be honest, with a character like this, it would be really easy to just take it too far. But instead of doing that, Sheridan and the filmmakers do a fantastic job of showing us the conscious struggle of a person living with this condition. Bart's not dumb. I mean, he's actually a pretty smart guy and he knows what's wrong. But he becomes increasingly more frustrated when he's unable to correct it. The movie does a great job of showing this internal conflict and really gets you to thinking of what it must be like to live with something like this. Helen Hunt also does a really good job as the caring mother of a child with this condition. You can tell that she's a bit overbearing and very protective of Bart, many times taking over situations that she should just leave alone. But you never get the feeling that there's any malicious intent there. It's just that she's very protective of her child out in this potentially mean world, and she doesn't always know when it's best to stop and just let him live his life and be a grown man. John Leguizamo is also really good as the compassionate detective that's on the trail. He knows that there's something else that Bart's not telling him, and even though a lot of the people around him are saying, you know, this guy's got this condition, so they get really violent and he probably had something to do with it, he doesn't want to jump right to that conclusion. While he does want to solve the case, he doesn't necessarily want to point the finger at the guy that everybody else is saying has something to do with it. He's not in the movie as much as I would have liked, but when he is there, he does a hell of a job of commanding the screen. And man, Leguizamo's just come a long way from Luigi Mario. Something else about this movie is it has some genuinely funny parts. Now, it's not a comedy by any means, and the vast majority of it would be classified as a thriller mystery. But there are some genuinely funny interactions that Bart gets into. And while yes, the humor does come from his condition and the way that he speaks to people out in the world, it's never at the expense of the character or the condition itself. The movie treats it all with respect at all times. It's never making fun or anything like that. But the rather frank and forward way that Bart interacts with some people is pretty damn funny sometimes. Most notably, an interaction he has with a car salesman is probably one of the funniest parts of the movie. But like I said, they're never making fun of the character or the condition that he suffers from. Guys, I can't really say much more about this movie without ruining something. And that would be a shame, because that's the fun part of mystery movies, is not knowing what's going on and trying to figure it out throughout the runtime of the film. I had a really good time with this movie, and it was a great watch. It had great characters and performances. While the story is simple, it's told in a very complex way. But even though it is complex, it's always very focused and tight. You never know 100% what's going on until the end of the movie, and it keeps you guessing throughout. I don't know how much rewatchability this movie would have, but that first time of watching it, you'll have a great time. And The Night Clerk is absolutely worth a rent. If you're into this recent resurgence in mystery movies, I think you'll have a really good time with this one. So there it is, guys, my review of The Night Clerk. If you enjoyed, want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a thumbs up. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.
You're old.
When the hell did Saban Films start making so many out there movies? I mean, with like 3 from Hell, Come to Daddy, 3022, this, and next they've got Guns Akimbo coming out. I mean, they're just killing it, man. It's like they're making a push to be the new A24 or something. And to think, they got their start being the Power Rangers studio.